So
Right. This is the UNspecial podcast, and I'm joined today by Danielle, known as Danielle and Van on all of her socials: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all the above. And super excited to have Danielle on, repeat guest on the show. And what I appreciate about Danielle is you say it how it is. You speak your mind.
Mm.
And apparently, as of late, you talk about Jesus too much.
yeah, apparently. Yeah, I do. I say whatever on my mind. Like I try to keep autism as my niche, as they say, but if I got other
Hmm.
thoughts, they're coming out too.
Well, and that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know, kind of like trying to have it general, but it
Mm.
seems like every other guest I have on is vaccine injured. And I was kind of trying to stay away from that whole scene, but in society, I mean, that's what everyone's talking about now. So we got to talk about it.
Now you got to talk about the relevant topics, just like when people, get mad because now autism is kind of turning political, but that's what is in the news right now and that's what's happening. So if they're talking about it,
Right.
we got to talk about it.
Exactly. Well, last time we talked, well, we've been talking, but on the podcast, the it was what in July when Kennedy came out and said they were going to start researching the potential causes of autism, and
Yes.
that definitely sparked the community like
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And you spoke out about the profound side of things, of which, um, you guys are all my people. This is what I
Mm-hmm.
know. And what do you think, just in general, about society and the world right now and autism?
It's very divided um,
Hmm.
between all the levels. And when Van was diagnosed, there was no such thing as levels. So, um, yeah, it's very divided amongst all the autism families, whether, where their kid falls on the spectrum. You've got very high functioning autistic families and then the profound, and it's just like a constant battle in the media all the time.
Right. Do you think the division of autism in the community is intentional? And what I mean by that is if the profound side stays quiet and the higher functioning side is celebrated, then they people won't catch on to what's going on.
Definitely. I think that's exactly what's going on. Um,
Right.
a lot of my friends lately have been censored on a lot of platforms. And I have noticed it myself as well. And I think that exactly, like, I think that's the whole, what I think the division started before Trump and RFK brought it up. There was already a division there because of the actually autistic movement, which is just a completely made up term for social media. It's not even like a scientific thing, you know. But the actually autistic movement, is geared towards the very high functioning autism class of people, and they kind of took over social media, how tried to make autism very positive, and then the profound families were getting pissed off and then
Yep.
and then we have to fight back because it's almost like everyone wanted to make it like so we didn't exist.
Right.
And I think that is exactly what is going on right now. That the more positive things, all the butterflies and the rainbows about autism, and the more happy thoughts people see, then the less people are going to question it. That is exactly what is going on.
Mm-hmm. Now, what? I don't think we got into it. What was the story with Van? Van is Danielle's son. Early on, did he show signs of autism, or
So it's
how did
really
that go
hard for
down?
me. It's really hard for me to think about it because he is 20 years old now. So I try to go back and think about it. And also, he was my first child, so I didn't have anything to compare it to at the time. And I was very young when I had him. I was 21 when he was born. So
Okay.
I was a pretty young mom. None of my friends were really having kids yet. I didn't have other kids, so I had no one to compare him to from other than babies in my family. So now when he was little, he would babble, but not like really say words. He was very fussy all the time. I remember I couldn't even drive with him in the car. Like he hated, most babies love being in a car, right? He hated being in a car. He From a very young age, he had to be rocked all the time and he had to be moving all the time. But he also could have had colic or something. I don't know. I mean, he was a
Right.
newborn. I would say yeah, as I went to the doctor and he started to get his vaccinations and everything like that, I just did whatever the doctor told me to do. I never questioned anything. Um, and I do have him on video at times where he's like 15 months old, and I have him on video and I'm like feeding him baby food in his high chair, and he's playing patty cake and all, like in the video. Um, and laughing, and it seemed to be he had started to show a lot of issues around 18 months, 2 years old, and that's kind of where the big MMR word comes in, so I can't
Right.
really say that Van is vax injured. I can't say that just because I just can't think about all the things that he did before the shot. But
Right.
I listen to parents who talk about it, and I'm one of those people who's never going to deny a mother's story like that. If you say your kid was vax injured, I believe you. Why would you make that up?
Right. Like there's no incentive for you to make something like that
Yeah,
up.
especially if you have your kid on video doing stuff that they did prior to receiving the vaccine. I mean,
Right. And that's there's a couple of things that I could never get past with vaccines. And early on, I was fortunate because I started when I started teaching profound autism, we were having our first child, and I remember my wife has been looking into this stuff for a long time, and I remember getting into class and just looking around, like my curiosity peaked, and I was just kind of like, I don't this doesn't seem like something's going on. So I asked a couple of my students' parents, like, "Hey, do you mind, just sharing with me like what happened?"
mm-hmm,
And they would all of them vaccine injured, vaccine injured. And then I started looking into it a lot, and that was when the High Wire and Del Bigtree uh, started out with Vaxxed. And so I binge watched everything. I watched every new podcast and episode, and I was fortunate because of Dell, because of my wife, and we're all on the same page. We didn't vaccinate any of our kids. And at the film on Sunday, Inconvenient Study, I got a chance to tell Dell that, which because I've been to three events where he spoke, and he always has the room stand up if they've been
mm-hmm,
vaccine injured, and like most of the room stood up, and I remember sitting there like, I'm one of the fortunate ones that because of Dell, I don't have to stand up. And I mean, it was a heavy movie. There was
mm-hmm.
a lot of emotions going on in there. But you had some time to watch the movie.
I did. I streamed it the other day, earlier in the week. I will say though, I think like how I kind of got introduced to the possibility of vaccines having something to do with autism, was through Jenny McCarthy and her book she was coming out with. And as when I started to suspect it and when he got diagnosed, that's one of the first books that I got because I have to be interested in something that I'm reading, and I really liked her, and I was like, okay, this is someone who can relate to me. So that's kind of like how I got into it. And then when I had my daughters, I did not follow the vaccine schedule. because I was so scared that something was going to happen to one of them. Now, I did get them vaccinated, but I didn't do it according to the schedule. And every time I would go into the doctor's office, he would give me hell about it every time, every single time. He'd be like, there's no evidence, there's no study saying that vaccines cause autism every time. And I would just say, I don't care. Can't you just wait a couple months? And I do remember both my daughters, they wanted to give them the Hep B shot in the hospital. I denied it. And
Yeah.
the dirty looks that you would get, and I'm like, no. It Trump said it is like a sexually transmitted disease. You have to get it from somebody else, and my baby is not going to be around anybody. She's coming home with me, and she's staying in her home for a while before I even bring her out in public. So my daughters did not get the Hep B shot in the hospital, and I spaced all their vaccines very far out, and they're
Yeah.
both fine. And my daughter's in college in New York and doing great. My other is, in the National Honor Society. They're very intelligent girls.
Well, I just saw today that President Trump is asking studies to be done on the vaccine schedule, which is
Mhm.
bizarre because how many years into this are we? And there's not a study? Like, gosh.
I
Oh,
read something. I don't know if it was a video I watched or I read something. And, even though people are saying, there has been clinical trials on vaccines, which there have been, and me and you have talked about that, to the extent of these clinical trials is very fishy, right?
mm-hmm.
But the thing is, yeah, each individual vaccine may have had a clinical trial, but they have never been studied all together, which is
Right.
crazy because 72 doses,
It's bananas.
72 doses.
Well, and it's what, 29 before you're one?
It's
Like
insanity.
I have a 1 year old right now. He's supposed to have 29 shots. Which, yeah, they try to give him Hep B on like day 3. He's on just under 3 pounds,
Usually,
and
oh, wow.
and
He
he
was a
was
preemie, right?
yeah, he was
Yeah.
9 weeks early. They tried to give
Yeah.
it to him in the NICU. I about jumped through the roof.
I don't even think kids need that until they're a teenager. Like,
12,
yeah.
right?
Exactly. The same
uh,
with the Gardasil shot that they're doing now. They're giving that younger and younger and younger.
mm-hmm.
The HPV Gardasil.
Well, and it all makes sense. And the big, the big push that everybody says is they're safe and effective, safe and effective.
Mm-hmm.
However, if there hasn't been a study, then you can say it's safe because you don't know either way. Like
Right,
there's no
exactly.
evidence to show it.
I wrote that down in my notes during the documentary. I wrote that down. The same sentence. It's somewhere. Yeah, because yeah, technically they're not telling a lie because there's never been a study.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is bananas. But then my always response is, okay, if they're so safe, in 1986 they removed liability for pharmaceuticals, put it on the federal government because pharmaceuticals were getting sued and they
Yep.
were no longer profitable. So now the schedule is where it's at because it's like it's the only
Hmm.
product out there where you can't sue for.
I,
Like I have a
I literally
construction
have that
business.
in my notes too. I have from the pharmaceutical companies, we're losing so much money from death and injury from vaccines that we can't make a profit. So the government took on liability. Yeah. I took
And then
very
this,
thorough notes while watching that documentary. I was real excited about it.
yeah. What? So, what were your emotions throughout it? Like, does it, like, where does it take
Um,
your mind?
I just hope that somehow with all of this information, that we can help the future generations somehow. Like, I'm just
Right.
hoping that, when my daughters start having kids, that they can take all of this into account and hopefully autism can be prevented somehow. And like I said, I think while I was watching it, of course it's very sad that the poor kid in the movie, or the documentary, who was paralyzed from the Gardasil, the HPV, and then ended up committing suicide. I mean,
Right.
that broke my heart. Um, and then also the mother about having the triplets, and then the
Mm.
triplets
Same
all
day.
going to get the MMR shot. And she's like, there's no way autism can be genetic, because how did all of my kids get affected on the same day? Like,
Hmm.
and her story really saddened me too. And it just blows my mind how doctors just don't listen anymore. And you're so rushed in office visits these days, in and out all the time. And no one is really listening to the parents anymore. And that's got to change. So yeah,
Right.
the documentary, now I haven't seen the Vaxxed, but I do want to go back and watch them as well.
Yeah, they're pretty intense.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's a lot of parent testimonials. And that was the biggest thing I can't get past. Like,
Yeah.
okay, then you say correlation isn't causation. Okay, how about you tell the thousands of parents whose kid is punching holes in the wall, smearing poop on the wall, and running away? How about you tell them that there's no causation when that happens a day after they go get that whatever shot? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't explain that away. And I think going back, that is exactly where we are in society, in the division in the autism community. It's exactly where they want it to be,
Mm-hmm.
which is intense. That's scary. I don't. What do you think about the whole Tylenol?
I'm like, I don't know. I think, look, I gave Van Tylenol, and I took Tylenol when I was pregnant. As a matter of fact, I know I took Tylenol when I was pregnant because I had my wisdom teeth taken out when I was pregnant with Van.
Oh,
And I couldn't get pain medicine, so they said take Tylenol. So I know I took Tylenol. I didn't like overdose on it or anything. And then I do recall when Van would go and get his vaccines, like, my mom, would be like, give him a little bit of Tylenol before he goes, because that way it's supposed to ease the discomfort. And
mm-hmm.
then when you bring him home after a couple hours, you give him a little more Tylenol. So I know that I gave it to him. Um, Whether it caused autism or not, I don't know, but I do think it could make sense. Hearing the scientific evidence behind it with the glutathione and all that stuff, I've been research. I mean, it makes sense. Is that the only cause for autism? No, I don't think so. No.
Right. There's an excellent podcast, the Experience Miracles podcast, with Dr. Tony Ebel. He's a nervous system focused chiropractor. PX Docs is his big network, and he goes deep into. I'll send it to you about autism, and he calls it the perfect storm. Some
Okay.
are born with the MTHFR gene mutation, so there
Hmm.
is gene predispositions which make you at higher risk, and then you add all the toxins and environment and everything, and it's just a perfect storm, and then eventually your system can't handle it, and then
Hmm.
you're just are showing signs of autism or other chronic illnesses, ADHD, whatever it is. And it's just interesting. It all goes back, you know, it, Tylenol probably has something to do with it. The environment, toxins. I mean, think about it. There's known toxins in all the shots. We know they're not good for you.
I
So
I think,
I don't know
yeah.
why it's such like a big. Oh my gosh, you think there's something that has to do with autism or other chronic illness with shots? It's just logical.
I think that I lost my train of thought for a minute. Well, let me say this because while it's on my mind, I did watch a video today, and I didn't get to fact verify it, but it's another mom on here who said in foreign countries before, I have to go back and see what shot it was, but before the kids are vaccinated, they're given a dose of vitamin A before they're vaccinated. Have you heard of that before?
No.
Um, and because it's supposed to help with the vaccine and break the toxins down and all of that. And she's like, why don't we do that over here? Like, why are they doing that over there, but we're not doing that over here?
That would
So
make
that
sense.
really intrigued me. I just heard that today.
Mm-hmm. But
But
and then also to screen parents of the MTHFR gene mutation.
yeah, so I actually just had Van's labs drawn for that on Monday. So
Okay.
I'm interested to see if he has it or not. My friend just had the labs drawn for her son who's autistic, and he's very much like Van on the same level, and he does not have it.
Mm,
So she was actually like really disappointed because she thought, oh, I could start giving them leucovorin or leucovorin. Sorry, I always pronounce it wrong.
right,
Um,
right.
and she was kind of disappointed in his lab work because I think she was hoping in it, and then she's like, oh, well, what do I do now? That's not the reason for him.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what Van's labs come out as. Now, Van's pediatrician couldn't give him the frat test. I was told LabCorp no longer does it.
Interesting.
So yeah, like okay. So we'll see what the MTHFR is. I also heard that you could order DNA swabs and do it yourself and send it away.
I heard that too.
So that might
Yeah.
be an option for some parents who can't like go to LabCorp or whatever. Not for the frat test, I don't think, but I also was talking to another parent whose daughter has been on Leucovorin for the last 14 years,
Oh wow.
and she actually gets IV doses of it. But she like saw a specialist and just has a doctor. She's very lucky who is just really knowledgeable and with autism and all the she's got some other issues going on too. But she said even if you get the blood work, it doesn't always tell you that you have a folate deficiency because your blood work is going to be different than what is going to your brain. And the only way that you can truly test for it is to have a spinal tap done, which is what she had done on her daughter. Now, who wants to put their autistic kid through a spinal tap? Like that
Hmm.
is like I would never do that to Van because that is extremely painful and can cause infection. It can cause just all kinds of issues. Like, I think that's the last thing someone would want to do. But maybe if it was your last resort, I guess a parent might try.
Right.
But yeah, so I heard that the labs would always kind of be off, but you can get the labs done to see if you have that gene,
Yeah, yeah.
the mutation. So
Which I feel like should be a prerequisite before you know,
well, that
or at
that's
least
my thing.
an option.
That's my thing with everybody saying autism is genetic. Well, as soon as your kids gets diagnosed with autism, why aren't they testing the parents?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, if it is genetic and you know that you have autism and your husband has autism and now your kid, wouldn't you not have any more kids? Like to me, like and then I've asked people that question before too, and they're like, oh well, we don't know if we would have an autistic kid, or we don't know what level they would be. Okay, well, what if you kept, you know, it's genetic in your family and you have a profoundly autistic kid? You want to keep having more profoundly autistic kids? Like, to me, that just doesn't make sense.
That's right.
If you 100% believe it's genetic, which tells me these families that are keep having kids, they can't believe that's all it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
And I mean, I
Huh.
know everyone can have different genetics, you know, siblings, but I mean, if it's running in the family,
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I think I'm just not on board with the autism as genetics people. I'm just not on board with it. I think autism is much like cancer, that everyone probably has something inside them. And like you said, the perfect storm or
That's
something
right.
triggers it and then it comes out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what makes sense to me.
Me too.
you know, um, you know what else I thought was interesting about the inconvenience study is the CDC came out with that paper on if you were to do a study like this vax versus unvax study, here's how that study should look. And then they do it, and then they won't publish it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I always try and see both sides. So, and I've sent it to a couple of my buddies who are pro vax. I'm like, hey, watch this and let's talk about it because I want to know like your side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I've been in I've been into this for some time, so I have my views. Um, but let's talk about it. And the whole retrospective versus a prospective study. I asked my chiropractor about it, and they could only do the retrospective study because it's just in general like what happened after the shot. You know, if the vax for some vax, but the study that should have been done before that would have made it, let's say, more credible is a prospective study where they would actually like narrow in on like age group demographic. We're looking exactly for these um, different challenges that arose or different chronic illnesses. So that's, and they mention it in the movie, which I thought was awesome how it ended because it wasn't like, don't go get vaccines, you're
Yeah.
anti vax. It was just like, here's a study we have done and we need to do more of these.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think, and I'm hoping, which is probably already being censored quite a bit. I'm hoping because it wasn't like super anti-vax that maybe it'll get through to a lot of people.
But you think that it it would not be as censored since they're talking about it on the news. Like,
Right.
since Trump and RFK are really talking about, okay, and then for TikTok, for example, because I couldn't even post some videos the other day.
Huh.
And a lot of my friends said they're getting flagged, they're getting violations. Anytime they mention vaccines and autism, it's taking their comments down. My friend sent me screenshots of things she's tried to post, and TikTok wouldn't let her. But I thought that Trump just made a deal where we bought TikTok or whatever. So
Right.
you would think that, now I'm not sure if the change took place yet. Um, but maybe, because why wouldn't he allow stuff on there? Why would that stuff be censored if they're talking about it?
Right. Right. Huh.
Mm,
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
It's like,
It's
what do you even know anymore?
I don't know that we're never gonna know the answer. We're never gonna know.
Right.
So it just, I think
Well, I
autism
think
always gonna remain a mystery.
exactly. But you know, at least I the whole Tylenol thing. I think it's all a distraction, to be honest. It's like it's all noise to get our attention off of what's actually happening. And I think we get so distracted by the administration or who says what, and then the division in the autism community. And we're missing out on the point of this is about the kids and the
Mhm.
future of kids. And that's a buddy asked me the other day. He's like, "Why do you care about this so much?" And I was like, "Well, I know too many parents who say the same thing. I have young kids, and I don't want the future to repeat what's happening now. And so we got to stay aware." Because
Yeah,
that's
well,
exactly what they want as well, is to keep you quiet and just blinded and just go
well,
about
like I
life.
was thinking the other day, I think I made a post about this before, but it's like 1 in 31 kids have autism now, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
boys or okay, so it's 1 in 30. It used to be 1 in 10,000, and now it keeps,
Oh,
the numbers keep coming up and up. So
we're
in
just
20
better
in
at diagnosing it.
no, that's not the reason. So in 20 years, is everyone going to be autistic?
That's what I always say to that argument. It's like, okay, if we're better at diagnosing it, sure. I don't believe it, but whatever. What's going to happen in 20 years?
We're all going to be autistic.
Right. So we have to do something now.
And then if that's the case, then all the high functioning autistic people are going to have to take care of the profoundly autistic people, and
Ooh.
then they'll understand. I don't know.
Wow. I didn't even think of that.
I don't know. My
Uh,
my mind goes far out sometimes.
yeah. Oh, man. The other interesting part of the film is what was his name? Dr. Abe.
Yeah, okay.
They did that study in whatever country they were in, and that shot was
It was in
five
Africa.
5 times more likely to kill you than the actual what they were giving it for.
Yeah. The
See, I
mortality rate
wonder,
was 5 times higher.
I
Hmm.
wonder what that would look like if they did that study on a bunch of other vaccines. I
I,
mean, the
I wrote
COVID
I wrote
ones,
down I have written in my notes that they didn't die from the disease of the vaccine. They died from everything the vaccine caused.
right, right,
Yeah.
which would make sense with our chronic illness epidemic in
Hmm.
children. Over 50% of kids are chronically ill now, where it was, what, 20%, like however many years ago.
Hmm.
So I, there's all these numbers, and it's crazy that when you bring this stuff up, you're like ridiculed for it. Like, can you just like zoom out, look at it objectively? This is what's happening. I don't
I would
know.
be
What do
really
you find of that?
interested in. I've actually been looking up. A couple nights I've been laying in bed and googling like different kind of what's it called? Like kind of like how you went to the movie premiere, but I always do this when I talk with you and I can't think about what I'm going to say.
Fil- uh, Film festival.
Not a film festival, but just like conferences, like going to different
Oh yeah.
conferences. I would really be interested. There's one coming around, I think in the beginning of 2026 in Maryland, and I would just like to go and just hear different doctors talk about it. I just
Mm-hmm.
think it would be really really interesting. Just sit there with my notepad and just see what everybody has to say.
Yeah, there's one Autism Health with Tracy Slepsevich in April. It's here in San Diego, and Dell and Aaron Seary are the keynote speakers,
Oh, cool.
um, which will be super super good. I went to the one last year, and
They
oh
don't
yeah, and
have
that
much like that around me. I wish they would,
right.
but I'll
I
find
think you can
something.
actually. I think you can live stream it. I'll let you know.
Okay.
But at that one last year, Dr. Peter McCullough was there, and his presentation on how autism is caused is four things that he's found in his studies: preterm birth, formula fed babies. Um, Dang it, what was the third one? See, now I can't think. The fourth one was Tylenol or acetaminophen.
It was.
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay,
I
so
know.
all three of those things that you named are Van. Van was born a few weeks
Oh,
early.
oh, and vaccines. The fourth thing was
Okay.
vaccines.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is my fourth kid. Like he has all of the. I mean, he's one. He's showing typical signs of just like development. But
Hmm.
he was preterm, formula fed, um, Tylenol because my wife had cancer when we found out. She
Yeah.
still has cancer. He had 2 rounds of chemo, pain meds. Um, Thankfully, we haven't given him any vaccines, and it's like am certain he would have autism if we vaccinated him. There's no way. And he was C-section. And have you ever seen like probably you've seen it like when they that was another thing from the Experiencing Miracles podcast. C-sections and when they pull kids out of the womb, all the vagus nerves and all the nerves when they pull on their head affects the nervous system which spins it out of control and then it
Hmm.
stores all the trauma and stress on the system which adds to the perfect storm. It's craziness. And then you go down the rabbit hole of C sections, the business of being born. You ever seen that documentary?
No.
it's, it's C sections were invented for like times like my wife when there was no other option to
Hmm.
keep him safe. But now it's like you don't even have. You can just schedule it. You don't want to do a natural birth, just schedule it.
I didn't have any C-sections. Um, but I did have high blood pressure with all of them. I didn't
Uh,
I didn't get diabetes or anything like that, but I did have high blood pressure and Van was born early because of it. Like I literally was almost going to have a stroke. So he was born at 37 weeks.
okay.
He was full term though at 37 weeks, but it was still early. Um, and you know, my body wasn't ready at all, so I had to get the pitocin and all. Like I was in labor with him for like 2 days straight. Like
Oh
just yeah, it was crazy.
wow. So what's Van up to nowadays? He's 20. He's in school.
This
He's
is
in the
his last year of school.
adult program.
He just goes to regular school.
Okay.
Um and yeah, he doesn't do job training or anything like that. We just started to volunteer at a farm. So we
Yeah, I
do,
love those videos.
yeah, we do that every Saturday morning, and he has his little jobs. He like waters the flowers, he sweeps the barn floor, we feed some of the animals, he collects the chicken eggs. So we've been doing that to kind of prepare for him when he's finished school. Hopefully, we'll do it more. So it will be
Yeah.
like his job until we do that for like a year. And then maybe he'll be able to do it on his own or, you know, branch out and do a little something else. It takes Van a really long time to learn a skill.
Right. How are you like nervous about his future? Excited for the future? Like, I mean, I don't. A
Um,
lot of the families I talk to are kind of early on in the game, and you're
have
coming to
little
this.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming to the point now where it's adult life, and you have that new stress. I taught adult transition for a year, and that new stress of what happens now.
I I try not to think about the far future because I'll get a lot of anxiety over it. But as far as, his like young adulthood, when I'm really sad for him, because he wants to go to school. And actually, every day when I pick him up from school, he says, "Do I have school tomorrow?" And because he knows it's his last year, and he wants to keep going to school, because even though he's 20 years old, in his mind, it's like he's 7.
Right.
So I think it's really hard. Um, to tell him, well, now you're an adult now. We gotta move on here. But my plan for him is, because I don't the day programs around here are not good. I don't like them. So my plan is just to keep him with me and keep him busy.
Yeah.
Whether we're going to animal shelters and walking dogs, or we're going to farms, or maybe we might take a class at college together and I'll go with him, and maybe we'll do
Yeah.
photography, or like find one of those fun kind of classes so we can go to college. Um, but that's just kind of my plan. If we hit the lottery, we're gonna vacation. We'll
There we
we'll
go.
go everywhere.
do you do you guys ever get a break from each other, or just when he's at school?
My mom will take him sometimes. There are lots of months like where we don't get a break. So it kind of just depends. But Van now is very content on his own. Like I think I told you, he can sit in his room. It took him a whole year to learn how to use his remote on his TV, but now he can do it. So he can
Oh
turn
no.
on. But I still have to like remind him. Like I'll go in his room and he'll be sitting on his floor on his iPad in the dark, and I'm like, Van, turn your light on, turn your TV on. Oh, okay. Like he has to be reminded to do everything.
Right, 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 right.
So,
Typical.
but he
What's
doesn't like, Van's never been an eloper or anything like that. I don't have to worry about things like that with him.
yeah? What does it look like? Does when he gets on your nerves?
He knows it. I mean, I yell at him like any other parent would yell at their kid.
Right.
And a lot of times I'll say I need a break. And so sometimes he'll feel it coming on and he'll go, "You need a break?" And yep. Yeah. Yeah. He'll know.
That's
And sometimes he'll know I'm getting to that point, and he'll go, "Well, one more thing," cuz he likes to repeat himself a lot. And, about the hedgehogs, every I hear the hedgehog is cute 100 times a day. And then he'll know I'm like, "All right, I'm done hearing it." And he'll go, "One more thing." And then he'll like say it again, and then he'll go,
he says the hedgehog is cute.
"Yes. We have a hedgehog." But
Oh, right.
he watches YouTube videos about hedgehogs all day. Like
Uh-huh.
that's his thing. Like I never thought that Van, how like all autism, well, not all, but a lot of autistics, get fixated on certain topics, and Van's is hedgehogs.
Always.
Always. Like at least for like the past 6 years it has been.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What so other than hedgehogs, what is he into right now?
Just cartoons. He knows every episode of like all his cartoons. Like if you can say like for like SpongeBob, like when did SpongeBob, do his driving lessons or something, and he'll talk about like the whole episode and what happened. Like he can't name like the what episode it was, episode number 78 or on this day or whatever. He doesn't do like that. But
Right.
he remembers every detail of every movie and every cartoon he watches.
Wow.
Like and he'll know what app it's on. He'll be like, "That's on Netflix. That's on Hulu. That's on HBO Max. That's on Amazon." Like he knows where they're at. And I don't know, because I can't even find half the shows I start watching on an app, and I can't remember what app it was on when I tried to go find it again.
Right. Does he script them all day?
No, he's not.
No.
He's not a scripter. No,
Okay. Just
but he does.
just
He
like a
does
cue.
talk about it a lot.
Right. Oh, there's the baby.
Yeah, I hear your baby crying.
What's it? Does Van have some friends? I was always wondered.
So there is one friend that lives in North Carolina. We met
Okay.
on a Facebook homeschool group. And Van will FaceTime him every couple weeks. They'll FaceTime, and once or twice a year we meet up with them. We were just in the Outer Banks with them a few weeks ago. They met us
Oh,
there,
that's
and
amazing.
the boys got to hang out. And there's a girl that he talks to that lives in Virginia, and we kind of do the same thing.
How did they
FaceTime.
meet?
We met. So I posted a post. I was homeschooling Van at the time. I
Okay.
homeschooled him for a little bit. And Van was talking about girls a lot. And so I posted on this Facebook homeschool autism mom group I was in, and I was like, here's a picture of my son. And I said, he's just really interested in having some friends, and he's been showing a little interest in girls lately. And I was like, is there anybody who would be willing, to have some phone conversations with him, or just, be friendly? And I had like hundreds of messages in my inbox, like hundreds, saying, "Oh my gosh, my kid's been talking about the same thing, and we would love to FaceTime you." And like it was almost it was kind of funny. It was almost like online dating a little bit, because he
Yeah.
would he would FaceTime some people, and then I could tell he was totally not interested in talking to like that
Oh,
person or that person or
interesting.
that person. Yeah, and but we would try to be nice and talk, and it was guys and girls, because I was just trying to get Van friends. And this started early during like COVID, and then continued, but that's how Van met his two friends. So,
Okay.
and they've been friends for like 5 years, and we still keep in contact and do stuff with them.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Well, it's just like that's even cooler that you could tell who he was into and who he wasn't. It's just
yeah,
like us.
yeah.
It's no different than how we would
Mm.
go about that situation.
Yeah, I mean he says he has friends in school, but I mean he doesn't like hang out with them and do extracurricular activities with them, or like talk to them. And he does do special needs baseball. But again,
Okay.
we don't hang out with we just go and play a game and come home. And
Yeah. Does he at school? Does he have a one on one? Is he in the gen ed class?
no, he's in a separate special education class.
Big class.
There's only like eight kids in there, I think. He goes to a general ed science class, but that's it. And he does have an aide when he goes to the science class, but when all the kids are in the special education classroom, um, there's like three aides in there, but they're for all the kids.
Yeah. Right.
and
Right. Right.
and and when Van needs to like walk to the bathroom or something like that, one of the aides will, they kind of all just take care of the kids in there since it's small.
Yeah.
When he was
Okay.
in middle school, he had a one-on-one aide. And when he was in elementary school, he did too.
Yeah. Okay.
But he was in completely in regular gen ed then.
Did you like that inclusion aspect or
No,
no?
no, I
Not
didn't.
for Van.
I I think it might be great for some kids, but Van really needs one-on-one attention. Like that's why I homeschooled him for a couple years, and he learned so much. I would still be homeschooling him, but he wanted to go back to school. I guess he got sick of me. I don't know.
Need a break? Need a break?
Yeah. He needed a break that time.
That's funny.
No, but
Oh man.
I went to observe one of his middle school math classes one time where he was in gen ed, and there were like 30 kids in the class, right? And Van was like sitting in the back with his one-on-one aide, and the teacher was like teaching algebra, okay, on the board. Van was still learning kindergarten math. And this was like in seventh grade. So the teacher was up on the board and doing algebra and stuff and, talking and lecturing while Van was sitting in the back with his one on one aid trying to do 1 plus 1 and 2 plus 2, like on a calculator. And I was like, how distracting can it be
Yeah,
for him to be in this environment trying to listen to a teacher 12a plus b equals c when he's trying to do it was a mess. I wouldn't even have been able to concentrate in an environment like that.
right.
So I don't always agree with inclusion. I feel like inclusion should be more for like
Social.
gym, art, music,
Yeah.
like stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's what I always took my students into, more like electives,
Yes.
where yeah, you're not sitting there doing math. Like, what's the point?
Right.
But it was more for social, you
Exactly.
know. That's cool. So what's going on in your community? Your world of social media? You getting a lot of haters, a lot of criticism,
I always
always.
always get hate, but the positive always outweighs the negative. Someone reminded me today under one of my comments, I think it was under the Jesus post that I made, and he was like, "Well, Cat Williams always said if you have 10 haters, then get 10 more." And I'm like, "You're right, because you know what? At least they heard what I had to say, right?"
Yeah, you're doing something right, right,
Yeah. They're still listening to me, even if they're haters or not.
right. Well, if you don't have any, then you're not trying because you can't make everyone happy.
Well, that's true.
So, have you always lived your faith, or was that something later on in life, or with
No,
Van, or
no, I've
okay,
always have been in church my entire life. Van has always been in church his entire life. I don't go every single Sunday, um, but yeah, it's something that's always been with me, and I've always tried to teach him too.
yeah. Well, I remember you had a post a while back. I think you were in church, and it
Mm.
said special needs or and Jesus and Bible
It
or
was like
something.
scriptures in the Bible about
Yeah.
special needs. Yeah.
And that got my mind going. That was a cool post. And I was
Mm.
thinking, man, that would be a good book to just put into pages how God sees special needs community.
I thought about that the other day. I was
Let's do
like,
it.
I would
Collab.
love to. I would love to.
All right. We'll start
I can
brainstorming.
look up all the verses. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have been brainstorming that a little bit. I would love that because I think that special needs parents totally need something they can go to like that. And I'm sure there's tons of books like that.
Right.
But just to make it special for like autism parents, I think would be really really good because some guy even commented. I don't know if you saw that video or maybe it didn't post yet. Sometimes I schedule my posts so they post
Oh,
days
nice.
later. Um, but this one guy commented under one of my posts and he said, "Well, I don't believe in God because my son doesn't talk," and that really like broke my heart. And then so like I did a video for him and I was like, I don't know how any special needs parent could be living without God or faith or hope. Like how
Right.
are what is the positive in your life then? Like what how are you getting by? Like
That's a yeah, that's a good question. How do you make it?
yeah, without having nothing, like nothing.
I would
Yeah,
think you
that's
would. Oh, it sounds like just from the tone of his comment, probably a lot of bitterness, resentment in that
yeah,
statement, which isn't a very happy demeanor to live in. So I
yeah.
imagine there's some deeper pain in there. But no, that's cool. Yeah, faith is everything. I always say that too, like going through a cancer journey. I don't know how anybody could go through like very difficult times by yourself.
Yeah.
Or you cope, I guess. I could be an alcoholic or something.
I
You'd
I
just be
think with
miserable.
all the things that have gone on in my life, and not just autism either, I don't know how I'm not an alcoholic or a drug addict.
Right. Because
I
of
guess
God.
because I have God. I mean, I
Yep. Absolutely.
don't know.
Oh man. Well, that's good. Um, any closing thoughts? What else you got? Any more notes on the documentary?
um, I don't know.
I thought that the whiskey study was hilarious.
Oh yeah, okay. I remember where he was comparing it to drunk driving, right? Like,
Right. It was
yeah,
like whiskey versus vodka. Of course, you're gonna have the same outcome.
right. Yeah.
Which I
Oh,
mean
that's funny.
that helped make sense in my head.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we covered pretty much everything. Like you even said statements that I had in my notes. So,
We saw the same thing.
yeah, we did,
I
which
kind
is
of want to watch
cool.
it again. I might.
I am gonna go and watch the Vaxxed ones.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the Vaxxed ones, it's a lot more parent. Um, it might be even a little heavier
Mm.
because there's more testimonials,
Now,
which just
that one was pulled from media, though, wasn't it? Can you only stream that? I think.
I think yeah. I wonder where you can even find it. Well, it was supposed to go into the Tribeca Film Festival, but they pulled it,
Yeah,
and then I'm sure you can
maybe
find it on the high wire.
I'll find it somewhere.
Right. I had one of the Colin. He was interviewed in the bus, and I had him on the podcast.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was like the first time he started talking about it, and he spoke at that autism conference with Autism Health. So there's a lot. I just hope this at least with the inconvenience study. I hope it sparks a lot of interest, and there's like taboo things to talk about can just be talked about
Mm.
like we are right now. Like obviously we kind of are on the same page, but I think a lot more of these conversations should be had with people who aren't.
I do know a lot of parents who follow me, especially over on Facebook, who have completely opposite views of me. But
Oh.
a lot of the parents that I do talk to, like, we're being, we're adults about it. Okay, I respect your opinion, you respect my opinion, and and we talk, are in it for the kids. I did notice that there were a lot of those parents who said they were going to watch it, and they even watched a lot of them hate Trump and hate RFK too, but they
Mm-hmm.
still watched it just because they wanted to see what they had to say. And it is piquing their interest. Trust me, it is. It definitely, definitely is.
That's huge.
Yes. So as long as people are watching it, believe me, it's in their minds. They're thinking about it.
Right. Which is going to get tricky. Okay, so let's say best case scenario they start running a bunch of these studies. But then it's going to be like how reliable is the source of the numbers that, the percentages and the statistics that are found.
Are they going to try to make it seem more safe?
Right? I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, Merck and the MMR vaccine, I listened to a presentation from one of their lead scientists, and he whistle blew on they fudged the numbers.
Hmm.
So we'll see. We'll
They
see.
they already did. I think it happened yesterday. They split the chickenpox vaccine.
Already.
Like, yeah, I saw it. I
Okay.
saw a clip of RFK saying something about that happened.
Well, I think a lot of change is already happening. They're going to start taking aluminum and mercury out of the vaccines. Will they
Yeah,
even work if they do that? I'll look into it. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, or like, why
There's,
are they there in the first place? What does it do?
I don't
And
know.
then they're researching the schedule. What else? I don't think you have to get Hep B until like 4 now. So there's
Yeah,
stuff in motion. But
good.
yeah, I know. And then I guess if you want to do it, you still can probably.
I'm sure people still will.
Right. Who knows? What do you do?
I mean, people are online doing things
Oh,
a
they're
certain
all.
someone is telling them not to do just to do it. So
What did you think about all those TikTok moms who were pregnant and chugging
that's what I'm
Tylenol?
talking about. That's what I'm talking about. It blew my mind. I think their kids should be taken away from them when they're born. That's what I think.
Yeah,
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
This,
I don't even know what to say. I
all right. That's another can of worms, right?
know. What do you
Mm.
do? Well, at least we know we have hope in the future. We're on the right. We're playing with the right deck of cards. We know the end. We know what's coming, and we know where our eternity lies. So
Yep.
I guess we can rest in that.
I'll end on this note. Someone
Yeah.
said to me the other day, and they made a good point. The first question I will ask when I get to heaven is, "What causes autism?"
That is good.
Yeah.
That is good. We will end with that. Thank you for being
Okay.
on.